Hi, welcome to Discovering Infinite Grace this evening. Um, Let me get you in here so you can find me. And we're going to do this. Hello, everybody. And if you guys are in the chat room, you can see me, right? Just so I know. Okay, thank you. All right. I'd like to say thank you for, yes, I know, really. Getting here tonight. Have a little tough technical difficulties. Willow, if you're listening, please try to get in back on that link again, and see if we can get you in. But I would like to start out by saying, if you're here joining me this evening, please like this page and share it onto your own page, because that'll help my vibe find my tribe. And I just want to start out by saying thank you to starnations.org for allowing this as our new forum. Thanks to Neshi, who spearheaded this. She's one of the co-founders of Star Nations, and she has been working diligently with all of our show hosts in the past few months to get us live, to reach people in a different way, in a different forum, allowing us to expand out in ways that the internet is allowing us to now, and finding people in different manners. So I first wanted to start out with tonight's show. I'm going to use cheat sheets because I have a lot that I always like to offer, and possibly can't keep it in my head and then do all this little stuff too. So bear with me. But I've decided to talk about unicorns being my first show this evening, because they have a very special meaning to me. And in spirituality, we really have no words that can really express or explain, hold one word to that infinite understanding and explanation of God and the laws of God. So for me, the unicorn holds a very special light code. There's a lot of ways to explain God through light codes, sound codes, archetypes, such as the angels, energy patterns, the universal laws, to break down the infinite, into finite pieces, so that we can explain some of the vastness of God. And, as humans, we always need that point of reference to understand. And I'm sorry, my dog is dancing around here. So for me, the unicorns represent a specific light code of energy, and the concept of God, in a manner of many ways. But I want to start out with history first. The unicorns first came around this time in literature around 1175 to 1225. Some of the languages that was expressed was in French and English and Latin. And when I was doing some of the work in that, I also noticed that, let me bring in, that there were, every language that you have in the world had a name for the unicorn. And I got, some of this research from Diana Cooper, who is from England, and I'll be talking a little bit more about her in a minute. But also the unicorn was also very popular in Scotland, and used it in their coat of arms to show sovereignty during times, back in the Dark Ages and in the medieval times, and back in the 12th century for Scotland was when they had the coat of arms. And the unicorn is, symbolic for the light, right? The light. And so it doesn't surprise me that in the Dark Ages and the medieval times that the unicorn came into the consciousness, and that they, through folklore, were passed down, because they did symbolize light in a very dark time in the history of the earth. A really fun fact is me bring this up, is the cornucopia is as actually what I found in researching was part symbolically from the unicorn, the horn of plenty. And so that's a really great fun fact that I think you all should remember, especially, at the Thanksgiving dinner when you have those awkward moments with perhaps Uncle Fred drinking a little too much, or Auntie M tapping her watch saying, I got to get Uncle Fred home. And you have that awkward moment. You can bring up the fun fact that, hey, did you know what's related to the cornucopia? And you can have a nice discussion about the unicorn, and you're welcome. So those are some things that I thought were fun and kind of interesting. And then we're going to go to the more spiritual pieces of the unicorn. And the unicorn, comes from the angelic family. It's a 7-dimensional being. And let me just add another photo here. Let's see here. I'm going to go with, let me bring in this one. Bring this up. Thank you for being patient with me this evening. Let's see, how do I get that up there? No, that's not going to go up. So we're going to take that out for now. And we're going to just carry on. So let me take this one down, and I'll just leave the unicorn. So it's a 7-dimensional being. It has, in a lot of folklore and a lot of spiritual connotations of the king and queen. There's a king and queen of the unicorns. And it's, obviously representative of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And that the king and queen of the unicorns are actually responsible for maintaining that frequency of the unicorn kingdom. It's also a symbol of the Christ consciousness and the unity. So the Christ consciousness, that's very important coming into the world now because we're hitting in the Aquarian age. We're leaving that Piscean age, and behind we're bringing in the Aquarian age. And a lot of you from the 60s, remember the group, the fifth dimension. How crazy is that? Because we actually are moving to the fifth dimension. And it was one of their most favorite songs was The Age of Aquarius. And I remember being in a talent show, and I was about 8 in school. I had no idea. I know I loved the music. I loved the group, the fifth dimension. I didn't understand any of that. I don't even know if they did. It'd be interesting. I wish I could ask one of them or find something written up about them. But in the Age of Aquarius, there was, when the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter rhymes with Mars and peace will guide the planets. Well, I took a backdrop and I made, 12 houses and the moon and the stars. And, I pointed to the 12 houses. I had no idea what astrology was. I grew up Catholic, and we really didn't talk much about astrology other than like maybe our Libra sign or, wherever we were born. So I did a whole song, and I remember liking the rhythm, and I still do like the music. And I believe that there was a code in it then for us, because there's a lot of belief in the spiritual community that when we came into this earth, we also came in with songs and TV shows and books that would support our awakening and our remembering as children, so that we remembered to stay connected to spirit in that manner through safe avenues and through. So the unicorn doesn't surprise me that it wasn't showing and appearing as far back as we can remember here on Earth during the Dark Ages. And for me, I'll later discuss how I connected with the unicorn then. So with that said, the unicorn, emanates divine love, divine protection. The horn itself is unity. So it has a lot of symbolic messages, a lot of symbolic codes that we as, in spirituality can understand and relate to that. And I look at it as unity, the unicorn being very unique, part of the one, but also the unity of part of the whole. So that our uniqueness and how we come in as this soul is the the foundation and the paramount of the importance of what we add to the collective whole. So the unicorn, for me, symbolizes an awful lot, and that it is important that we, connect with our light, our unicornness, our uniqueness, and not to be afraid to shine that. And the unicorn, it connects through our heart, and it speaks the light language of the soul, and it carries those virtues and spiritual concepts, such as courage and sovereignty, being one with everything and everybody. It is, symbolizes the third eye, and activates, the horn activates the third eye within us, and legend has it, that the unicorn could see between the veil, beyond the veil, and was held the light of truth, the truth of what's really, truly, spiritually true for us. And Diana Cooper, I can get this one up. There we go. This one down for now. So Diana Cooper, she has a book out, and you can reach her at, I put in that www.dianacooper.com. She's from England. I got a chance to meet her when she came over here to teach some classes about orbs and all different kinds of things. I don't know if I'll be able to get that picture for you, but she believes that the unicorn holds energy for higher truths, and for those that work on conditioning and tempering and mastery of the ego self, that the unicorn appears, because it's only that of pure of heart. Oh, yay, you're back. Thank you, Joni. Yay. Willow is here. Thank you. Okay. So for those who work in condition and tempering and mastering their ego self, the universal laws hold this higher understanding. The Christ consciousness teachings, Jesus's teachings, Buddha's teachings, all of those things are important. And the unicorn, if you read her book, covers all of these types of principles. It's a really lovely book. She has unicorn cards, and I will try to display those later on when I get some room here on my board. So with that said, I would like to bring in my first guest. She is from Michigan. Her name is Brandaleen Johnson. She works out of Traverse City. And how I met her and asked her to be a guest on my show was I was working on the concepts of what I was going to talk about with Be Live for my first live show, sharing with you all. And it came to me that I wanted to talk about the unicorns and just my experience with them, what they mean to me. It's a huge, something that I always talk about. Carla Joe is saying the unicorn has appeared to me a few times, usually to have me tell someone the unicorn is guarding them. And yes, Carla Joe, that is actually very interesting that you would say that, because that is what I read, that Diana Cooper has experienced it and writes a lot about. And thank you, Denise, wishing me well, and Neshi, of course, for getting me on here. And so anyways, I'm sorry, squirrel. It's gonna be a problem. I have a lot to focus on here. But anyways, to get back to Brandaleen, she's from Michigan and Traverse City. She sees clients locally and internationally. She was how I found her. Again, I was working on Unicorn, and I was doing some stuff on my computer. And at the time, Neshi was having a live broadcast, which I wasn't aware of, Communications of Home at the time. And up she popped, and I started to watch her interview, Brandaleen. And lo and behold, she was talking about the article that she just wrote for our October magazine, um, How to Stay on Your Unicorn. And I was like, really? So, like the synchronicities, I will always pay attention to those. And the more I listened to her, the more I realized we had a lot in common. She likes to study energy patterns and the universal laws. So those are some of my very favorite things. And so I was very happy to have seen that. And I knew that it was guided to have her back on to share her on my first day talking about the unicorns. And she's just a really neat lady and a great writer. You can reach her at brandaleen.com, and I will put that up. She has a podcast called Craving Consciousness. She's authored 3 books. She's a psychic medium. She's an educator, a spiritual coach, and her theme for her business is awakening your gifts, aligning you with your purpose, and igniting your life and your business. So she has a lot of experience, life experience, spiritual studies under her belt. And I would like to bring her on now. And if the unicorns are willing, we'll share some space. Here we go. And hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yay. Yeah. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being here. So I want to type in. I'm going to try typing in while you're talking. So let me just get you started and then I'll type some stuff in. And that way I'll have
Okay, great.
So, we talked in, your article, Falling Off Your Unicorn, it's a very metaphoric and kind of analogy of knowing where you're heading and, confidently, basically on the top of the world type thing is what you talked about. And then all of a sudden, one day, you fall off. And so can you share a little bit about what you wrote about, how it inspired you, so that others can understand? And to also look for your article in Star Nations. Just go to starnations.org, and they can go under the Star Nations magazine, find the October issue, and read a lot of great stories. But if you can just share with us, thank you.
Sure, yeah. So a lot of my articles and things that I write are based on my actual life. And like you said, I use the unicorn as kind of an analogy where one day we could be feeling amazing. We're on top of the world. We know exactly where we want to go. We know exactly where we're headed and we feel super confident. And the very next day or even the very next moment, we start doubting ourselves. Those limiting beliefs show up and we start actually taking action based on not believing in ourselves, thinking that we should just give up and those things. And so that's what I call like being on your unicorn versus being off of your unicorn. And in the article in the Star Nations magazine, I shared the different steps that I take to be able to catch those limiting beliefs and smash them and turn them around to something positive and get back on our unicorn.
Wow, that's beautiful. So we all know, and this is actually the picture next to you, is your magazine picture for your article. Neshi, that one that edits the magazine, she finds some of these beautiful, amazing pictures to match what we write about and bring them to life in all kinds of ways for us. I want to talk to you a little bit more about your understanding and your thoughts about the law of attraction. Because when you were interviewed by Neshi, you really explained it quite well. And the whole thing of staying on your unicorn is about balancing and understanding that law. Could you explain a little bit a lot of people I know of the secret, but you've expanded your knowledge from the days when you used to, had that first book at the first time. Can you share that with us?
Sure. The law of attraction is based off of how we create our life. We create our life through our thoughts, through our beliefs, and our expectations of what is to come. And so it's important to always be on top of our game with our thought process, because what happens is a repetitive thought creates a belief. And a belief is what we actually take action on. So if we have repetitive thoughts that things aren't going well, then we're actually going to take action on that. Versus if we have repetitive thoughts that things are going great, then we're going to take action on that. So it's almost kind of like a mind game. The law of attraction is a mind game, so that you can constantly be on top of what are you thinking, what are you believing, and what are you expecting to come. It also is what I share with people. It's a frequency that comes outside of you through your chakra system. So it's based on your emotions as well. So if you're feeling negative or depressed, then you're vibrating that out to the universe, and it's going to attract more of the same to come into your life. I'm a huge fan of Abraham Hicks, and truly that really had helped me have that daily kind of reminder of what is your frequency vibrating at, because you can't bring something into your life unless you are actually a match to that frequency.
Mm. So keeping your vibration higher is important, and it kind of also, goes along with the other concept that you had about holding that positive thoughts in those 27 seconds. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Sure. It takes 27 seconds for the law of attraction to go into effect. So the longer you can hold the emotion feeling. So for example, I mean, you all the listeners can think about something that they want to bring into their life. Well, the thing is when you want to bring something into your life, you automatically look at what's not in your life. So it's important to feel what it would feel like if you already had this either love life or health or abundance. Feel what it would feel like, because it's really the emotion that ripples out to the universe. But when you can, and I know it's really hard to think about something positive when maybe you're experiencing something very negative, but just sit there and just allow yourself to imagine that feeling, what it would feel like if you already were where you want to be, and then hold that feeling and pay attention to your body, because it's going to be happening throughout your chakra system right here in the front. I always like to call it like the Care Bear light that turns on and shoots out to the universe to bring what it is. So if you could just hold that feeling for 27 seconds, then the law of attraction goes into effect. The other interesting thing is when you start thinking about, quantum physics and your subconscious mind, it all goes hand in hand. Everything is energy. Everything is energy, those thoughts, beliefs, and expectations and emotions. So if you can hold the feeling of what it feels like for 27 seconds, then, like I say, the frequency goes out to the universe, but your subconscious mind all of a sudden starts ticking and going, how can I create more of the same to come to me?
No, and how do you feel? Did you, when you first started, what was it that you found helped you master or work with the master? What are some principles that you use to work with the mastery of that?
Oh boy, being mindful, being, meditation was huge, because meditation helps you start seeing the thoughts, like witnessing them. Meditation's not all about quieting your thoughts. It's about witnessing what's, passing by. And does that serve me? Is it serving my highest good? But another major thing that I use is a mindfulness bell. I have an application on my phone, and it goes off I think 3 times an hour at random times. And immediately I will stop and think, okay, what am I thinking about? Is it serving me or not? And if it's not, then let's switch it really quick and hold this thought for a couple seconds.
No, beautiful. That's for me, meditation, has been a lifesaver for me. It has helped me slow my mind down and identify which thoughts are blocking, or that I'm resisting, or that I'm judging, to let go of a lot of those things. So I appreciate that understanding and sharing that with us. Let's see. So, and we talked kind of about how to stay on the unicorn. Yes. By our self-awareness.
Self-reflection is key, because really, I think a lot of what we're going through, our spiritual awakening and creating our life, is actually peeling off the layers of that old programming. A statistic I love to share is 84% of people will actually accept the life that is dealt to them, but only 16%, which is what I feel like the spiritual community is, will actually take a look at what is being presented to me. And hey, it's when you realize that you are the only one that is actually creating your life and that is actively creating our future as a community, then that's when you realize, okay, I've got to get a handle on what's going on here. If you don't like what you see outside of yourself, then you got to start looking at what's going on within.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big saying. Like in our home, my husband always raised our children with, 90% of 10% is what life that happens to you. That's 10%, and 90% is how you react to it, and what type of thought process you bring into that. And so that is so true. And I really want to thank you very much this evening. I wish we had more time to speak more about this. I hope that you'll come back and chat with me in the future, because we do have a lot of things that we're very interested in. We're both energy geeks, that we love to study how the patterns of energy work, and how to clear them up for others. And so again, they can reach you at Brandaleen.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
www.brandaleen.com. And you do all kinds of things. I had the pleasure of seeing your website, so I encourage people to go and check it out, because you have wonderful resources there for everybody from the beginner to those that have studied for a while. And I really encourage them seeing you. You probably do Skype and phone calls as well. So those that don't live in that area but want to see her in person, in the Michigan area, Traverse City, right? Is that what it's called?
Traverse City. Mm-hmm.
Traverse City. Okay. And I want to thank you very much for being my first guest.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me. It was truly my pleasure, and I absolutely would love to be back on here again.
All right. Blessings to you, and thank you so much. And wonderful article. I recommend people getting that magazine, and thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. So it's me and this unicorn here. Okay. So we're going to go on to the next thing. And I'm doing pretty good here, I think. So one of the things that I want to talk about is, I know, right, Nesh? I know, is my own self. Because, hey, it took a lot for me to get here. So I'm going to talk about my own self. But honestly, I want to get a picture here. And this is my very first, I got to take the unicorn down. Here we go. And this is my first introduction to the unicorns. Oops, and I got to take Brandaleen's name down, because you know who I am, right? There we go. So this is the Irish Rovers. This was my first time ever really, as a child, cognitively understanding what a unicorn was through song with my dad. And the Irish Rovers, they kind of actually, in song, record, what the unicorn is, and what it means, and how it is in biblical sense. Because in the unicorn, in the Irish Rover song, it was, "Hey, Noah, tell me, I'll tell you what to do. Build me a floating zoo." And so Noah got the green alligators, the long-necked geese, the humpty-back camels, and the chimpanzees. And it goes on, the cats and rats and elephants, as sure as you're born, you're never going to see no unicorn. And the reason for the unicorn didn't show up within that song was it was frolicking, it was playing, it was not having anything to do with being on that ark. I remember being so sad and forlorn, and my dad and I, we would sing that song over and over again. And that was on an 8-track tape. And I can't remember how we would keep rewinding and play that or whatever, but we did. My dad was Irish through and through. He definitely loved telling stories, and he definitely loved singing, and he loved his beer, and he loved singing, and he loved telling stories. And so I would sit around and we would sing this song a lot. And the funny thing is for me, it was confusing. Why didn't these unicorns get on there? And why did Noah leave them, by themselves? And as I was looking more and more and, reading in Diana Cooper's book, I realized that spiritually, there were times, when the Atlanteans and the Lemurians came about, and the part where Lemurians and Atlanteans, it's sunk, right? There's a lot of spiritual writings about this, a lot of fascination. And at the time, the Atlanteans' vibration, it's believed that the unicorns were there during their time, that they were etheric beings that inhabited Atlantis and Lemuria. But the earth became so dense and became, probably in the time when we were falling into the dark ages, became so dense that the unicorns could no longer stay, and they could not keep the vibration because they were extremely high seventh dimensional beings, and that they said that they faded away, and so they ceased to exist in the physical to us through their etheric body. So connecting the dots, I mean, when it makes perfectly sense to me that the Irish Rovers sang a song and, basically kind of alluded to that, okay? And then the flood in Atlantis. So that's my belief, and I'm going to stick to it. And we can see what you think. And I'm trying to keep going here. And hi, Risa. That's my psychologist. She helped me have liquid courage to come on here. She just had shoulder surgery and actually is here supporting me. So hi, I hope you should be resting. And I appreciate that. And of course, Neshi. Yeah. Hi, Nesh. Thank you, Nesh. And okay, so let's go. So the other thing is, I learned about I did want to send one card. This is another one. Okay, so how do I get rid of the Irish Rovers? And we're going to come down and we're going to put this person up. And I'm going to talk out loud because that's how I process. So this card, this is a really cool card. This is from Denise Iwana. And it's the unicorn card that she has in her Spirit Mythical deck. And mythology right there. I wrote it down there so I wouldn't forget. And so I'd like to read this to you. It's called The Light Within. This deck was designed by David Fix and Denise Iwana. She's another creator of starnations.org. So her and Neshi Lokatz. And so The Light Within. The elements of the unicorn are the spirit and light, and the origin is from Greece and Rome. Let your light shine. Darkness prevails where the light is not fully present. The light of the soul is a tremendous force of goodness and love on the earth. While the darkness may test you, it will almost certainly never prevail. More than ever, it is essential for you to shine your divine light. As a magnificent child of light, it is through your words, your actions, your meditations, your thoughts, your prayers, that you bring great courage, hope, strength to those who are currently lost in the dark's illusion. And the daily mantra that she writes on each one of these cards, it's each different. The daily mantra for the unicorn is, the purity of my soul lights up the darkness and shines brightly for others to see. So for me, the synchronicities through all of my spiritual studies in the last 7 years has really, meeting Denise and Neshi and, having these fine works that these ladies produce has brought a lot of things together for me in my learning and understanding. So the other thing I do want to mention is, if you would make sure you like this page and share it to your page, as well, this broadcast, so that we can continue to put out the vibration that we're trying to reach out to people to find us, and find their tribe through this wonderful vibe that Star Nations puts out and all of the different show hosts. And if you are listening and want to know, and go to YouTube, Google starnations.org. All of the broadcasts in the archives are now being put on there, thanks to Neshi's hard work of getting them over to that. And you can also go to starnations.org page on Facebook, starnations.org radio network. Like those pages, communications, Star Nations Communications from Home. Like all those pages, because you will get, you'll know when we're doing stuff and when we're putting out these wonderful shows. So to get back to my inner child and to get ready to introduce my next host, I also, connected with, Doreen Virtue and about the importance of connecting to the inner child. And so, I'm the most powerful probably when I'm doing my healing work. I'm usually 7. I have a very much childlike belief in God and Mother Mary and Jesus, and my belief in my imagination is what brings me into my work, and I always go forth with as that child of light, and that's when I'm my most powerful. When people told me, didn't tell me anything different, it was when I believed everything was possible, and that my light was important and who I was important, and then it changes, like everything for everybody. So, and I look as imagination as the gift of the Magi, pertaining to the gift of the Magi is imagination. That's where that word comes from, and so I value that, and I also value. So here's another really pretty card. And that is the Christ Consciousness card. This is from Diana Cooper's. And then I just want one more that's very important to me, that I will take down this one, and I will bring up right here. And that's the Mother Mary. And the Mother Mary, obviously is the Queen of Angels. And having the unicorn being in that 7th dimensional, in the angelic family, I believe she's also spearheads the Queen of the Unicorns as well. And also, too, in the really old writings of the unicorn, that only the purest or the virgins could attract unicorns. And obviously, another synchronicity for me is, Mother Mary was a virgin. And so somehow I believe that some of those stories, were collected in that kind of manner. And then they just kind of came, to very literal as opposed to metaphorical. And or taken literally in their metaphoric ways. But I do believe, that she also stands for the mystical understandings of God. And Diana Cooper did collect an orb, and I just want to show you that. And then, okay, so this is very cool. Let me bring down this person, and we'll bring up this. So not only does Diana Cooper, you can check her out at dianacooper.com. Like I said, she's from England. And I don't know if you can see within that picture, but she brings in the water elements, and the unicorn, if you can see some of that white, the beam and the whiteness there. She studies orbs, all kinds of pictures of orbs. And she says that's, definitely like this unicorn energy that comes and brings in magic, hope, and pure love into different spaces that she finds all over England, and that people discover them. So with that said, and she has meditations out there and stories and stuff, and she, sounds very much like when I met her. I got to sit down and have dinner with her. She sounds like Mrs. Doubtfire. She just has this lovely grandmotherly way to talk about spirituality. You could listen to her with her English accent for days. And so just go take a look around and see what you think. And with that said, I would like to introduce another nanny, and part Nanny McPhee and part Mary Poppins. And she is one of my dear friends. We met working on our inner child with Doreen Virtue at the in Colorado for 5 days, and that's where we met, and we've been friends ever since. And she's a badass clairvoyant medium. She's a retired stay-home mom turned nanny, and she remembers her mom totally shutting her gifts down with fear and anger when she was 10 years old. So she stopped seeing and just knowing things until she was 48, just like me. And then the doors blew open and you had an awakening, which led you to start your journey in Colorado, right? And you jumped in some classes and read books, and you practice everything you read, and you're still learning and remembering. And I think what's really special is that your kids are your greatest teacher. And so Willow, they can find you on Facebook, your Facebook page, Willow Vieau, and I'm going to type that in. How are you? You got back on. Thank you so much for getting back on.
Yes, that's no problem.
Sounding clear, too. So I was having a bit of a heart attack.
Awesome.
And so there's Willow. So you can look for her on your Facebook page and private message you, right? Because
there you go. That's it.
Offer a lot of great wisdom for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so where was I going? Oh, I have for us, like I said, it was that inner child, and to show you, let me add another photo here. I have a lot of photos, Nesh. I hope that's okay. You can help me figure this out later if I I don't take. So this is something you sent me that you put up, found on your refrigerator where you were nannying, right? And said, hey, look what I found this morning. And we got done talking. And every one of us, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, know the A-Team and know Mr. T. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about is, because you're dealing with the kids and, we're seeing a shift in our consciousness. We know that the rainbow children and the crystal children are coming down in droves to hold this, usher in this new Aquarian energy, making it moving our thought conscious to that fifth dimensional thinking. And these children are coming in. And just like when we were in the 60s and we had those, TV shows allowing us to remember and anchor the energy that we needed to support, us indigos and alike, right? And like I mentioned, the fifth dimension. How are you feeling? Because I feel that the rainbows have made a big, we're seeing them on floats, we're seeing them on mugs. I have one on order. It's coming. It actually, the water heats it up and the plume of the unicorn turns rainbow colors.
Oh, cool.
And returning, I believe, just experiencing my own grandchildren and especially my granddaughter, she is that rainbow child. And she's fascinated with unicorns, and she's fascinated with a lot of stuff, but it's all coming back into the conscious. Even my doctor, my female doctor, she gets presents with unicorns because she's a self-proclaimed unicorn. So, also has that thing where you're unique and you have that, you come from that loving place, maybe some naivety about the human race and its goodness. And we always have that hope in those dreams that we're going to move through humanity in one way or another. And Rhonda is saying that she has one as a spirit guide, and they're coming through in all different kind of ways to people reaching out. And I believe this, archetypal energy is coming here to support us. How do you feel about that? You know, with all the nannying jobs that you do, because you are like Mary Poppins and Nanny McPhee, where you move and work with the children and stay with the families as long as they need you, and without hesitation, just sort of blindly follow wherever you're led to. Can you talk to about that, or what you feel about with the inner child and the unicorn? Can you hear me? Oh, there's a delay.
A lot of stuff, but certainly. Yeah, so nannying has sort of, can you hear me now? Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah.
So nannying has just reconnected my kid, their thoughts. They are to, it's like me, like on that, I feel like I am, and kind of like nanny, where it's time to leave, when I stay. So blind faith, stepping into something that you don't know what it's going to be every day. Mm-hmm. But grateful that I'm there. It's just basically playing. And that's really what it is, because that's all it's all about. Love, play. The child I'm with now doesn't speak words, but he sure can speak. And that's like the amazing part. We play lots of games. We do lots of letters. I just realized I was like his teacher, because I always just thought, oh, you're just playing with him, you know? So it's just reconnecting with having fun. And angels are always there. Like, I always see them around. It's amazing.
Well, these children have an amazing ability to communicate, you know, very telepathically. You know, that's why I think they're late talkers. How has the unicorn energy and the understanding of unicorns helped you healing your inner self, your inner child? I think you can hear me. I don't know. I think there might be a delay. Mesh?
So the way I describe it is sort of like that feeling. Hear you. It's kind of like for Christmas, except it's always, I'm always that. You're 7, and I'm always excited. It's funny that I didn't until today see them. I paid attention to them. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Thought it's just mist over there as I'm driving to work in the mornings. The sun's coming up. Oh, that's just a horse in the field. No, it's not. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've been connecting with it actually with this child too, because he sees them. We'll stop and he'll look and he'll point and he does this thing. And I know he's talking about unicorns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just feel that they're coming in. And even Carla Joe says, I feel unicorns and others are feeling safer and we're coming closer to their dimension. So they are sticking their noses out more often. Yeah, I think
I like that.
You know, in the time of Noah, they're like, sorry, I'm out of here for a while, you know. And now I think we are ushering in a thought form and consciousness where this unicorn energy is now coming back in because, one, we're accepting it. You know, we're in that consciousness and a lot more of us in numbers. We want a peaceful life. We want peaceful and loving and unified and sovereignty and all those things that the unicorn embraces and symbolically, you know, holds true for us. And so it is coming back into the consciousness, into the collective whole, because we're asking it to be here. We're bringing all those virtues and archetypal patterns of energy of thought forms to Earth at this time, and anchoring it here through the beauty of the unicorn and the horse medicine. You know, it's basically that etheric horse medicine that I'm just learning about through being connected here with Star Nations and understanding the Native American beliefs, far expansive and understanding than I ever had when I was growing up. And so let me see, what else do we have? If anybody has any questions or would like any type of message from the angels. We can pull some angel cards. We're at like 6 minutes here, so it kind of worked out pretty good. Or if anybody has any questions, but maybe I'll start with, let's see, showing Meg and Willow some love. Thank you, Neshi.
Awesome. Whoop, whoop.
Just learning how to like remember to look down that. Carla Jo says she's loving Mr. T riding the unicorn. Hi, Cynthia and Marianne. Thank you very much for joining us. It's nice. Hey, my daughter-in-law Lindsay's on here. Thanks for raising that wonderful granddaughter of mine and my grandson that have the magic of unicorns just oozing out of her. I adore her and their mama. And yep, and Neshi remembers the YouTube video of the Irish Rovers. Yep. So let's see. I guess for tonight. Oh, Rob, you'd like a message. All right, ready to go. And then I'll just pull a card, and Willow, you can tag in team on in with it.
No problem.
So, okay. Here we go, Rob. And then we'll end the show with Rob because we're at the top of the hour here. So, surprise. Well, let me see. How I do this? Ooh, you guys make it look so easy, Neshi and Denise. Denise, wow, this is really tough on Tuesdays for you. Okay, so it's surprise. And it's look for the unexpected today. And in the background, there's a peacock, a lot of spirit animals. And what I believe that is for you, Rob, when I intuitively tune into that, that unexpected things will be coming your way. I think that, you've been looking and wondering what your direction in life is, what your purpose spiritually is, and, those avenues or those beautiful gifts that you already hold. And I do believe that these unexpected opportunities are going to be coming your way. It's almost as if the blanket is being fluffed off of them and you can see clearer because you begin to believe in yourself and begin to align your thoughts, align your way of thinking to bring them to the place of manifesting. I'm finding now that we are able to manifest with our thoughts, keeping that higher vibration. We are manifesting our thoughts a lot quicker than we ever were. So be very mindful of that. Break through those old patterns of beliefs, perhaps those things that may keep you in a place of judgment, resistance, or fear. Let that all go. And I do believe this is around your gifts and how you express your spirituality. I know you an amazing composer and songwriter, and I do believe the energy that you when you're composing and the energy that you're bringing in through those notes and through we saw that with Mark Watson, right? How he brought in the angels, and when we were with Doreen, he composed these beautiful songs, Rob. And you could feel the energy of each angel. That's how I learned in the very beginning. I, bought those CDs and I would go home and I would listen to them for hours. And each angel, he did like 15 or 16 angels. And it was through the music that I became attuned to what the essences were of the angels, how they would speak to me, how I would use them in my daily life. And it was through that music is when I first became attuned, and I learned these very higher conscious level ways of thinking about angels, not even reading the books about them. It came through this music. So, intention. I do believe, you have beautiful intentions for people. Your heart is big. And I do believe that the nice surprises that are coming is who you are and what you put out, your expression into the world. It's going to come back and bring you a lot of happiness and great surprises coming your way, Rob. How do you feel about that, Willow?
That sounds like spot on. They're also showing that it's time to finally let go of your coat of fear, like you put your coat on, you take your coat off, you put your coat on, coat off, that you're ready to fly without your coat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I hope that was helpful, Rob. Do the hokey poke. Oh, the little delay here. Sorry. So I want to just take these next few minutes just to say thank you. You can join me the last Thursday of every month. Willow will be on with me more often. And so please, if you enjoy us, you know, if you have any questions that you want answered in the next show, please email me at discoveringinfinitegrace@yahoo.com. Let me type that in for you. Thank you very much, everybody, for being a part of this, hanging in there with me. And if you have any questions or any kind of questions about tonight's show, please feel free to email me. I'm sure there'll be a way we can connect. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Cynthia. Everyone, Carla, Joe, I feel like Romper Room where you look through the mirror and you say, thank you for joining me, everyone. And I see Bobby and I see Carla and I see Cynthia and thanks for joining me during this wonderful time. And it was a magical first time. And thanks, Nash.
Did great.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm a unicorn. I'm crazy. I love you, Joni, Willow. And
love you too.
And Lindsay, good night, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Phew, day after speech day.